So on this one, I'm going to show you how I achieved this floor screed and go through a few things as best as I can. What's the crack, guys? So yes, this video is about floor screed, and you're probably wondering why I'm showing you 4 holes in the wall. So basically them holes, I've now got them plaster indicators that'll help me keep these holes. But there was a radiator on the wall that's now off the wall, that's now skimmed. And why is that important? Because, well, one, the radiator need to come off the wall, but it's important that we get the radiator back on so that the pipes are led into the floor screed where they should be. So getting the plastic down and the insulation, had been talking about this with a subscriber very recently. So very important. There's concrete down here as is, not done by myself, but now the plastic's going down, DPM and the Kingspan. There should also have been plastic underneath the concrete, so this is basically a fail safe. Here's these, look at these plaster indicators. These will help me refit this radiator so that when I screed, the radiator's back exactly where it was. And the reason we need the radiator is to line up the pipes that we're going to screed around and make sure they're in where they were. So how we look at this steel over here, guys. This is supposed to be a level from this steel all the way around and back to the original floor here. And I'm going to obviously start at the original floor because this is my mark. And what I've done is I've pulled it out that way and then leveled it like a cross shape and then worked my way around the steel. It's coming in a wee bit higher than the steel, but that's not a big issue because we've got a good bit of clearance on that door anyway. And I will run it down this road, and then I will go from end to end to make sure that we're plumb, then pull it out the middle and out the door and home. And as you know, floor screed does hurt my back quite a lot, so don't tend to rush it. I'd rather just take my time, get it done as tidy and as straight and level as possible. And this is basically the long and short of how it is actually finished. So once you get it all screeded out level and straight, just rub it with the float followed by the trowel. So it's obviously sounds quite simple, but floor screeding is not really an easy job by any means, and I always do say to have big respect for all the screeders out there doing this job day in day out. It's very physical, guys, and anytime I do it I always end up with a sore back. And I did this and 2 days later my back was sore than it's ever been. So I definitely think it's always related to screed. So obviously when you are rubbing it, just fill the holes in as you go. And the guy who I learned how to screed off was, he'd have this done in probably about an hour. But obviously mixing this stuff, not mixing it by hand, but we're mixing it on site here, and normally would get it ordered in, but this wee job is handy enough just to mix our own gear on the site and bring it in, get it down, get it laid. Also have another video on how to screed a floor, or how I screed a floor, and also how to mix floor screed. So if you just want to get a hook around the channel, you'll be able to find them videos also. And I always say I'll try and put them in the description. Sometimes I don't get time, but yeah, they're on the channel if you just want more info, or ask me in the comments and I'll drop you the exact links. It's quite a nice radiator actually, just over my shoulder, I think so anyway. And there's another important wee tip, guys, to take away from this video. When you're running your child, just lift any wee bits from the corner away, and that'll just leave for a much crisper, clean job. you can just cut the excess plastic off and put your skirtings down. Very good to do that. Keeps it very tidy. So now all I gotta do is line these two sides up, and I'll know I've got it right or wrong. But pretty confident. Everything's came in pretty level straight so far, and I've double checked it, so pretty confident on that. So it was. So just using the box level actually, as it has a bubble on it. I do have my box edge here as well, the proper screen edge, and I think it's got a wee tiny twist on it, so I'm going to have to investigate that, as every time I was using it, it seemed to be digging in a wee bit more than usual. So didn't have time to sort of look at it or cut it with a grinder today, so just stuck with the level mostly. The box level is a bit longer, so I was able to use it for a double check on my straightness. And using waders, first time using waders, they're fully waterproof all the way up to my hips. We're sliding down a bit, probably another reason my back is sore, but yeah, they work brilliant. And the only thing is about them, you do sweat a bit in them because they are waterproof, so not only will the water not get in, but you will sweat in them quite a bit. So something to think about. But with these, I didn't feel the need to need knee pads, as I could just put down some Screed and kneel in it and not have any worries of getting cement burns or damp knees from the damp sand and cement. So again, pulling it back, screen it level, filling in any wee holes. Sort of looks like you're feeding the chickens, or sowing the seeds down, where you're just sprinkling the loose sand cement into any holes, as you can see me doing here throughout the video, and rubbing it until the holes are nice and flat and smooth. And Screed won't particularly set greatly fast on you, especially I'm mixing it here as I need it, as I go, so you do have time to sort of get your levels right and make sure it's 100% as you go. So just want to talk about basically setting out the marks, guys, which is, it's kind of the bands I strike off around the edges. Now obviously you can use buttons and a laser level, chalk line, you know, there's many ways to do it. Obviously this is the way I've been shown to do it, and it's the way I have used, to be honest. I think it's the easiest way. Tried a laser level before, and all it did was seem to blind me, so just really, to be honest, as soon as the builder left, I took it away. As most times you will have a point of start and a point of end, and once you run them through, I find when you've set out them marks that you are flying. So it is, you know, there's obviously there's lots of ways to do it, and you know, whatever you think's going to be best for you, start that. As I do know, when I was learning, setting out the marks the way I do it is actually quite difficult as well, but once you get it, you probably won't look backwards. So it's one to think about if you are going to take on a DIY floor job or something small. And again, just double checking everything, guys, and making sure it's nice and straight. You don't want to keep going too mad, and you know, you get halfway through a floor and then realize your bubble's way off, and so it is worth having a good look at it and not going too far before you're 100% sure you're happy with what you've just left. And again, somebody did ask that they don't understand how when you're pulling it one way that it's level the other way, and basically what I was kind of pointing at earlier on was the answer to that. You're not specifically pulling it one way, you are pulling it two ways. You're almost making a T shape. So I leveled it coming from the original floor coming out towards myself, so I knew I had my height, and then I went across that without digging in. I showed that on a wee demo video I did. Without digging in, I was then able to pull off that line, if that makes sense. And then obviously the two corners are similar. Once you have them finished, that's your height. So you just need to make sure you don't, when you set out your marks, you don't pull into them, you don't dig them down and ruin it for yourself, basically. I find what helps that is if you actually rub it up and trowel it in, it'll solid up the surface a wee bit. You'll compact the surface, you'll have it worked in, so it'll be a lot better. And if anybody's got sharp eyes, they'll notice that I'm using my devil float, and the reason for that being is if you've watched any of the most recent rendering videos we've been doing, that my good float is on its last legs, so it's really time to get this float broken. And no better way to break floats in, guys, than floating up a floor. It really will break in the float very quick. A couple of these floors and you'll have a real nice rendering float. And again, you know the crack, guys. It's always nice to get to the end. The last bit of plasterboard, the last wall to skin, the last bead, in this case the last wee shovelful, and the last tidy up, and that's you, happy as Larry. So, you know, hopefully this was very helpful to anybody trying to pick up floor screen and stuff. Again, I do have maybe 3 or 4 of these screeding videos and other rendering videos that should be very helpful also. And another quick look at it all at the end. Really the only job left over is to trim off the plastics. Have a bit of a protector over this end. Careful not to step on it.